If you were a child growing up in the United States, you likely remember the feeling of waking up with a sugar hangover on November 1st, after walking all night to fill up your bucket with Halloween candy and eating too much of it. The last thing you'll want to do that day is look at any more sugar, unless you happen to visit Mexico, Latin America, or live in one of the southwestern states that celebrate Dia de los Muertos with traditional sugar skulls. In this episode, we'll be talking about the significance of skulls and remembering those who've died, combining ancient religious celebrations with traditions of early settlers, and the sweet happenstance of using sugar as a means of decoration. I'm your host, Emily Prokop, and this is the story behind sugar skulls. First, a quick word from #PodernFamily, a great group of indie podcasters like me.
What is the Podern family?
Hey, this is Shane.
That's not Shane. That's a robot set by the government.
And that's Kenny from
I'm
Now
a
That
robot too.
From Now That I'm Older.
More like Now That I'm Robots.
This is Gabriel Russo from the Hollywood Scandals of Yesteryear podcast.
This is Steve from the Drift and Ramble podcast.
This is Nick from the Epic Film Guys podcast.
This is Emily from The Story Behind.
This is Adam from Everyone Has a Podcast.
This is Sean Harrigan from the Cinescape podcast.
We are you, podcasters coming together in a community to help one another grow. So follow us on Twitter at Podern Family and use the hashtag Podern Family in your tweets and retweet other people who do the same. Podern Family, where great podcasts come home.
If you've walked through old cemeteries, especially prevalent in New England, you may see gravestones with pictures of skulls on them. It looks incredibly morbid and creepy, but this is what's known as Memento Mori, a Latin phrase literally meaning, remember, you will die. Cheerful, isn't it? You may also see on those graves wings, crossbones, or hourglasses as a way to remind graveyard visitors to remember the deceased. The Puritans believed that being aware of your own death was good for the soul, but it was the Aztecs, Mayans, and Toltecs in modern-day Mexico who celebrated those who died every year. And when Catholic Spanish settlers began spreading Roman Catholicism, they merged old traditions with the traditions of the Christian holidays. And in Mexico, Latin America, and parts of the United States, Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is still celebrated on November 1st, fittingly the day after Halloween. Skulls were popular displays during the celebration, symbolizing death and rebirth. The Spanish settlers viewed death as the end of life, while the Mesoamerican civilizations viewed life as a dream, and only in death could they become truly awake. Does this remind anyone else of The Matrix? Because those living in Mexico didn't really have the money to import expensive European decorations for Dia de los Muertos, they used a technique brought by Italian missionaries in the 17th century known as sugar art. At Easter, the friars used sugar, which was abundant in Mexico, to mold lambs and angels, and this technique was used to mold skulls to adorn gravestones and altars, and to offer the spirits who were thought to visit on that day a bite to eat. Other decorations using skulls could be seen in wall paintings and pottery, and it still carries on today. And because of the internet and the fast pace of information, Dia de los Muertos has spread to other parts of the United States. Here in Connecticut, for example, we even had a whole shelf at Target dedicated to Dia de los Muertos, including cardboard cutouts, face paints, and skulls. You know, I'm sure they didn't have enough room for all the decorations, considering the 4 different versions of Harley Quinn costumes I also saw there. By the mid-19th century, sugar skulls became a popular craft, featuring more extravagant colors, styles, and textures. In the annual celebration of Feria del Alfeñique in Toluca, Mexico, vendors spend months preparing hundreds of chocolate and sugar skulls, skeletons, coffins, and animals, and they compete for prizes for best skull candy. The skulls are known as calaveras, And not only are they made from sugar, candy, and chocolate, they're seen in parade masks, dolls, and decorations. One more thing to note about these skulls. They're rarely seen in agony or portrayed in a menacing way, but instead, they are shown in a joyful fashion, enjoying their visit back to see their loved ones. Information for this episode was sourced from encyclopedia.com, mexicanssugarskull.com, nationalgeographic.org, history.com, artisfun.com, and the Arizona Republic. For these links and more, visit the show notes at thestorybehindpodcast.com. Follow on Twitter at storybehindpod, or subscribe on your podcatcher of choice so you'll never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.